Geeks Unleashed.
Conversation.
What is your secret origin? How did you get into and find your love for comics and pop culture?
I think actually my love of comics was the first love. So I play music as well, and obviously I write novels. But the first thing before I ever wrote stories or played any musical instrument or anything like that, first thing I got into was comics.
I always say that I didn't find comics. I think comic books found me. Yeah.
I loved action figures. Like, action figures were my thing. Like, I have boxes of them in the side of the room over here. So action figures, cartoons, all that stuff was my thing.
Introduce myself to a different community that when you go from one school to another, that's completely different. It can be jarring, right? But it was something because it was a shared love, a shared experience. And that was one of the first times I realized that pop culture is a bridge.
Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. This is Geeks Unleashed Conversations, and this is episode 1. I'm Mark.
I'm Jasmin. Oh, I don't have any glasses to take off. That was very well timed there.
Sorry.
I'm Mark.
It wasn't a planned thing.
Sure.
I just took them off because I was like, the reflection. I can see the reflection in the on the screen. Anyway, this is our new monthly conversation chit chat series, which where we're going to chat about just whatever we want.
Yep.
It's separate from our weekly review show. We decided to just keep it separate so you guys know if this is a conversation rather than a review.
Yep. And before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We appreciate that. We would love it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, we appreciate that as well. We'd also love it if you would leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser.
Please also donate to our Ko-Fi. We would very much appreciate it.
Because you know, everything costs money.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Yes. Got to feed those geeks. All right, so
we got to eat too, you know.
So very similar to last year where we did an anticipated show. This episode is going to be a catch-all, and that's hence why we wanted to do more of a conversation. So we're going to talk about our last year's anticipated. So we're going to talk about actually what we enjoyed from last year and our favorites, and then we will talk about what we're anticipating to enjoy in 2024. So in 2023, at this very first episode, which was episode. When it wasn't a conversation episode, it was episode 108, where we talked about our most anticipated comics, TVs, movies, and games of 2023. Me and Jasmin highlighted a bunch of things we were looking forward to.
Yep.
Going to shout out those. We're not going to go into the massive detail because some of them may have entered our favorites.
Some of them we forgot all about.
and some of them I think the studios forgot all about because some of them didn't happen.
Very true. Yes.
They will happen, but anyway. On my first anticipated, should we go one-on-one, Jasmin?
Yeah.
Right, okay, so on my first anticipated, I talked about comics here, and I actually said I want to clear most of my backlog of comics.
What's a backlog?
Apparently that is a thing. What is a backlog? Right, anyway, what's a backlog, bro, is what they say.
Yeah.
I made a good effort. I got up to date with Superman. I got up to date with Action Comics. I got up to date with Nightwing. I got up to date with a few others, but I didn't really clear that backlog, and I don't know if anyone ever clears a to-be read backlog unless you just read only and have no children or a job probably. So anyway, I made a good effort, but I didn't do what I wanted to do. And then I talked about a bunch of other comics on there that actually, other than a couple, I didn't end up reading them because it's difficult, but yeah, it's probably a whole other conversation around content, but there's just way too many comics. There's way too many movies. There's way too many TV shows, yet to mention musical video games or podcasting. Yeah. I think at one point, I didn't even put this on there, but at one point I got obsessed with crime podcasts. So
yeah, I remember that.
Anyway, so on the comics world, on my anticipated, I made a good effort on clearing the backlog, but I still haven't cleared it. So hopefully this year.
We're gonna put it back on the list again.
Yeah. Also on your comics or read, what about you?
So last year, my most anticipated was Given Volume 7, which is the manga, because Given is ending. Well, I think it already has ended with the Japanese version, but the English version, we're not quite caught up yet. I will definitely say Given Volume 7 did not disappoint. I very much enjoyed it. I just really like the characters. I like the drama that they create for the story. And I don't know, it covers some heavy stuff, but it's also light and fun and charming, and I just love them. And I love the way Nazi, oh gosh, I cannot think of her name, but I just love the way that she draws the characters. So I got my one. I only put one thing on the comic list, so I got my one in last year.
On the TV side, so I listed 4 shows, and the first one didn't happen or didn't come out. It was Ironheart, didn't come out. Then actually, sorry, I listed five shows. The Flash from CW, the final season, massive disappointment. Thought it was not very good, I'll be honest. Yeah. Next one was The Last of Us TV series, which I did a weekly review on Instagram with Steph, also known as The Missing Link, and enjoyed that show. Didn't make my favorites. I mean, if I was to write a top 10 list, it'd probably be in there, but it's not the actual number one. I wrote down a show called Wall, and I'll be honest with you, forgot all about what that even was. I had a Google of it just a second ago because I was like, what was Wall? I didn't even know. They must have changed the name, so it was Silo on Apple TV, and enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. Thought that was brilliant. I remember watching that weekly when that came out on Apple TV. Loved it. So I haven't put it down as my favorite show for the year, but honestly, if there was a top 10, it would be in the top 5. It was a really good show. Okay. So yeah, really good show. Recommend. And I put You, which was season 4 of You. Again, enjoyed it. Didn't enjoy it as much as the first 3 seasons, but I did enjoy it. So
okay, that's fair.
What about you for TV?
So I also had Ironheart on the list, which did not come out this year, so that one was a bust. And then I had 2 anime. The first one was Buddy Daddies, which I did watch. Well, I watched part of it, and it was that kind of like yelly, hijinksy anime that was just like, this is no. This is not the vibe I'm going for right now. So I have not finished that series. So that did not live up to my expectations of it. It was a bit too kind of gimmicky. Like, I guess like the typical kind of series you think of when you think of anime, with like just all kinds of random hijinks that don't make any sense.
Male characters are running around screaming and not making
like they're yelly, and then there's a kid, and the kid is just like unruly, and it is just like there's too much happening. There's way too much happening here for me. Like, I don't know. I was 2023 turned out to be a more mellow year than I thought I was looking for, and so like I was very much not of the mood to have all of those like super exciting, like a whole bunch of stuff going on kind of things. So I haven't finished that one. And then the other one I put on my list was Tsurune, the second season, which is called A Linking Shot. It's about Kyudo, which is Japanese archery. I never got around to watching that one. I forgot I put that on my list. So I haven't started that one yet, but that one I still do want to see it because I did love the first season. So
do you know, there's always stuff that goes on a list that doesn't there's just
it's too much.
Before we start recording, it's something I said to Jasmin. I felt like at some point towards the end of the year, it was like, I'm overwhelmed. There's way too much stuff. So, anyway, movies. So for movies, I put down 4 movies I was very excited about, anticipated. Quantumania, which is Ant-Man 3, the Flash movie, Fast X, and Scream. Quantumania was okay. It was very Guardians of the Galaxy. It was okay.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it wasn't. I preferred the first 2. I'll be honest, than the third one. So, the Flash movie was a massive wah again. Disappointing movie. If I was writing lists of worst movies of the year, this would be in that category.
Would it be top 5?
It would definitely be close to number one position of the year. It wouldn't be the number one.
Yeah.
I think number one, if we're not going to probably do this, but number one would be Ghosted, Apple TV movie.
Oh, okay. I was Absolutely. Like, I don't know what that is.
Awful movie, really bad. So I probably would say The Flash is number two. So, anyway, Fast X, actually really enjoyed it. Watched it at the cinema, and actually over Christmas time watched that again. Really enjoyed that movie. I think it was a much better improvement than the previous movie, which got stupid where they went to space and stuff like that.
They went to space in a car.
Oh no, it was ridiculous. This one, whilst not grounded at all because it was crazy, at least there was none of that stupidness. Anyway, then the last one on my anticipated was Scream, which was Scream 6, and I love that movie. We haven't obviously reviewed it at all, but I'm sure at some point we'll find a way of doing that. But Scream, absolutely loved it. It was great. I think that's why I was so gutted later in the year to find out that none of them are coming back for Scream 7. So
that's a whole other episode for a conversation.
I know. Yeah.
So I had two of those on my list too. I had Ant-Man and Scream on my list, and I was shocked at how much I enjoyed Scream. It was really good, and it felt very much like a return to the original franchise. And it is a bummer, like when there was all of this fallout at the end of the year about Melissa being kicked off and then Jenna Ortega leaving, and it was just like, it took 3 movies for me to finally like all of these people, and now they're all gone. So I am bummed about Scream as well. Ant-Man, I was not expecting a Guardians movie. I think like what Mark said, it was just kind of like, Ant-Man's already on the fringe of like the MCU kind of stuff. Like, I don't know why it had to go full Guardians of the Galaxy instead of sticking to its own like Ant-Man vibe. So that was just weird to see. Like it felt a bit out of place in its own like universe. But the movie that I was most looking forward to last year was Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. And it did not disappoint. That film was phenomenal. And I did not realize, I mean, obviously it has Part 1 like as a subtitle, but I did not realize that it would end on the massive cliffhanger that it ended with. And now we have to wait until 2025 for the next part, which is a bummer, but
I know.
Yeah.
But we may talk about that episode.
We did review.
We did review it, but also we may talk about that film later on in the episode. Games wise, so last year was a big shift for me game wise. Like I hadn't gamed really for a couple of years, or here and there. Like, and then my lovely wife bought me a Nintendo Switch for Christmas. Last year, not 2023, 2022, and then sort of through January I ended up playing like Mario Odyssey. I was like addicted, and I know that didn't come out that year, and then I played a few other things, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a renaissance, and I picked up a PS Vita, and I went and picked up a bunch of other things and kind of got into gaming, and then I kind of put it all aside until Devon, who joined us for a few episodes in December, we got chatting about The Last of Us Part 2 game, and I had played it for like maybe 10 minutes, and then through most of December, I'm probably about halfway through The Last of Us Part 2. And unfortunately, over Christmas, I became really ill with some sort of flu or COVID or something or other, so that went out the window again. But anyway, I put down on my anticipated list Hogwarts Legacy, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. Now, I just want to be honest, don't have a PS5. Thought I might have achieved one last year, but the prices just kept putting me off. And I have not bought PS5, so therefore I've not played Spider-Man 2. However, and I've had to really make sure I don't read a single article about that game because people keep trying to ruin it. So I've yet to be ruined, and please don't ruin it if you hear this. Anyway, I didn't didn't pick up Tears of the Kingdom because I haven't actually played the last game of Zelda. I've played a bit of it, but it's actually a lot harder than I thought, and I haven't really given it the time of day. Now, Hogwarts Legacy, for anyone watching, I did get this for Christmas.
Yes.
And I haven't played that much of it to really give an opinion of its greatness or anything like that. I'm only about, I want to say no more than an hour and a half of gameplay here.
Yeah.
But from what I'm playing of it, I'm actually really enjoying it. I think Hogwarts is really good. So
that one's a recommend?
yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I think I did some research on it. They've released it on the PS4, the PS5. I didn't actually check anything else. I didn't check Xbox, but they released it on the Switch as well. And from what I read was that it's a much lower quality version on the Switch, like it's obviously to fit on the cartridge. Because I was considering getting it on the Switch because I thought, that might be quite cool to take with me when I play.
Yeah.
So when I travel, and I was like, in the end, it put me off because I thought, well, actually, it's open world, and do I want to be like waiting for the loading screen on my Switch when I'm going around? So anyway, I asked for it on the PS4, and so whilst there are occasional loading screens on the PS4, I would imagine it's not anywhere on the level of what would be on the Switch. So, but yeah, of that list, Hogwarts is the only one I actually played, and so far I'm enjoying it.
So. Okay, that's fair. My list was much smaller. The Expanse, which is one of my favorite TV series, released a game last year. I did not pick it up. I did not touch either of my consoles in 2023. Well, that's not true. I turned them on when I moved to make sure that the connections at the new place were working. So that's about the only time I turned on my systems in 2023. So I did not at all keep up with gaming. The other thing on my list was The Wolf Among Us Part 2. However, that did not come out last year. It is now slated to come out at some point in this year, 2024. No actual release date for it yet, but I love the first Telltale game of The Wolf Among Us, so I'm very excited. I'm still excited. When I saw this on my list again, I was like, oh yeah, I was excited about that. So I'm still excited about it. It comes out this year.
That is a game I actually really wanted to play. Like, I haven't played the first one.
Oh, it's cool. And it's so cool because it's set obviously in the Fables universe, which we did a book club episode on Fables. So it's really fun to kind of have that kind of cross borders.
I think it's meant to be set before Fables started. Like, so Fables, I think it's like a prequel to the Fables comic. Anyway, so that brings Anticipated to a close. And now we're going to shout out what our favorite things of 2023 are.
Da, da, da.
However, we're going to start with ourselves.
Yeah.
So in 2023, we released many episodes. And I'm going to quickly shout them out, just so you're all aware, listeners, of our regular show and the journey we went on. We kind of changed the format of the show. We did it towards the end of 2022 from episode 100 onwards, and we decided that our regular weekly show would be a review show of stuff that's adapted from the comic or gaming world. And although we may occasionally flex that a little bit, but we actually released a really good series of episodes, which we felt we enjoyed it ourselves. We actually felt less pressure on ourselves to, when the show first started, we wanted to be more current, and there's a lot of other people that are current and you can listen to them. So it's nice that we found a format that suited us. So episode 109, we reviewed The Joker, which neither of us had watched before. Episode 110 was Spawn. Episode 111 was Jonah Hex. Then 112 and 13 and 14 was all three Ant-Man films. 115 was Werewolf by Night. 116 was Man-Thing. 117 was Howard the Duck. 118 was Shazam. 19 was Shazam 2. Then we had a month of gaming film reviews. So we did Super Mario Brothers from 1993.
That was Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Then Super Mario Brothers from 2023. Then Sonic the Hedgehog 2020, followed by Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And then from episodes 124 all the way to 128, we did all the Fantastic Four movies, including the documentary Doomed. 129 and 130, we did both Spider-Verse movies. And then we did Sweet Tooth season 2, finally got around to that, the Flash movie, and then episodes 133 all the way to episodes 136. We did all 4 of the original Batman movies, which ended in Batman and Robin. We were joined in 136 by our friend Adam from Go Figure. We released actually a book club episode, which was episode 15, Fantastic Four Full Circle.
That was fun.
And then we took August and September off. We had a bit of a break, and then we returned at the start of October. And for quite a while, to be honest, from episode 137 all the way to 141, we covered the Blade movies and then Blade TV series.
Fun. That was fun.
And then we had a random one-off gaming movie, which was Gran Turismo from 2023, which came out last year.
Surprisingly, a good film. I really enjoyed that
really good film. Yeah. And then from episodes 143 all the way to 146, we did all of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So that was 4 Guardians of the Galaxy, 3 films, and sort of a TV special, holiday special. Yeah. So, and actually, during one of those episodes, Mark didn't appear. So
a first in 140 some odd episodes.
Yeah. So Devon, who joined us towards the end of the year, covered me. And then our final episode, our Christmas special, was Late to the Party, episode 16. It's got Pilgrim Volume 4, which probably
everyone's favorite Christmas book.
So apparently so. So it was a especially long episode, that one as well. I think we probably went and
we got a bit nostalgic on that one. So
normally those book club episodes are a bit shorter, but that one
we're not sorry.
I think that one went off the rails, but there was to be honest, I really enjoyed last year. I felt it was a really good year for us. I think it was actually, our strongest year in terms of what we put out. I know I'm blowing our own trumpet here, but I enjoyed changing the style. And I know that was from the end of 2022 onwards, but actually I think it put us in a good place 2023. Hopefully this year we'll do more book clubs if we're able to, but I enjoyed the book clubs we did, and I actually enjoyed the format that we changed, and I'm glad that we've actually dropped the news now.
I love the format change because it gives us more time to do other stuff. Like, we both ended up much busier in 2023 than we thought we would be, so it's like I think I had more fun recording the podcast last year just because I didn't feel as much pressure I have to go to the movie theater and I have to go to do all of these things. It's kind of like, no, if we just keep watching old stuff, I can stream it, and that saves me the anxiety and the stress of having to go and move around my whole schedule to make it work. So I was really happy with it. I think
from looking at this year, I think the only thing we'll have to go to the theater for will be Deadpool 3. Other than that, I think
this year doesn't seem as exciting.
No. Anyway, so of all of that content that we did, do you have a particular favorite Geeks Unleashed episode?
I absolutely do.
Go on.
I do. Okay. My favorite episode that we did in 2023 was episode 125, where we covered the documentary of the making of the Fantastic Four film, the failed Fantastic Four film. That documentary was so good. I have never watched something back to back. I watched that documentary, I went in, I made my notes for the podcast, and then I turned right around and I watched the documentary again. It was just so good. There was so much information I didn't know. I feel like of all the episodes we did last year, that one covering the Fantastic Four, so the whole month of May, all of the episodes that we did that month, they were all kind of a whole learning experience, and kind of getting to peek behind the curtain of the whole Hollywood machine. And it was just so fascinating. And especially because when we first put it on the schedule, I couldn't have cared less, right? It was just fine, we'll just do the Fantastic Four, whatever. And then it turned out to be my favorite run of episodes that we did the whole year, just because of all the background information that we got from it. So episode 125, if you guys have not listened to it, that one was definitely my favorite from last year.
I think to be honest, what I did enjoy was that we did series of things. We did a few series of things. We did obviously I've listed them all out, but I enjoyed that whole series of Fantastic Four, and I thought it was brilliant that we did it, and really loved it. And I'll be honest, I really enjoyed that episode too. But I love the fact that we did Blade, and I love the fact that we did Guardians. Too. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the fact that we did the 4 Batman movies. From the original George Clooney and Michael Keaton and all the rest of it. And that was kind of actually planned. We didn't actually plan that. That wasn't going to be what we did, but after we watched The Flash, I was like, we've got to do these Batman films. We've just got to do them. And so I loved all of that too. But now, in terms of a favorite episode, I really did enjoy that. But I think actually, I want to go with. Sorry, I was going to shout out the Late to the Party episode that we did, our final episode of the year last year with Robbie. I think it was just, we did go off the rails in terms of. But I loved it. I thought it was a great episode, and it's weird to think 4 years now that we've done Late to the Party. So 4 years. Well, as of June this year, we're 4 years doing Geeks and Niche, but 4 years of actually reviewing Scott Pilgrim, and it's crazy to think that we just did volume 1 of Scott Pilgrim, and it was going to be a one-off. And then I think I said to you towards the December the following year, actually, how cool would it be to do this every December, like to work our way through all 6 volumes? And now it's like me, you, and Robbie. It's become our thing. Like everybody has a Christmas thing somehow. Yeah,
so we bring a drink, we bring some good times, and we just talk about Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, and to be honest, now it's like I keep going. I don't know what we're going to do after volume 6. We've got 2 more years left. But I think Robbie said, well, we'll just do the movie and then we'll do the TV show. And actually, I'm sure we can do something else. Like, Brian Lee O'Malley, he's done other things. Maybe we bring those in. Maybe he's done Snot Girl and a few other things. Maybe we just do those afterwards. Like, I think Robbie made a joke going, we'll do it all over again. I'm not sure.
No, I really think we should just start our petition to Brian Lee O'Malley and be like, hey, so volume 7, Scott Pilgrim, can you hear us out, please?
Is it anyway?
It's a Christmas tradition. You don't understand how important this is to us. Could we please have a volume 7?
Maybe we should like petition him to actually do a Scott Pilgrim Christmas book. Like that would be it. Like, do you know what I've got to maybe harass. I don't know if he's on social media, but we've got to find him. I'm sure he is. Like, anyway, now to jump into actually what is other people's stuff that they've put out, which was our favorites, not our own favorites. I've put best read rather than best comic of the year. So this is going to be our best of the 2023s, and we'll start with our best read. And so I struggled to, like I say, to get up on top of things. I didn't read any books, which I'd planned to. I read a couple of graphic novels. Obviously, I read the ones for our book club. I read there was a Joker graphic novel that I read. And however, when I got on top of my comics, the one I enjoyed the most was Tom King's Nightwing. I think Tom King's Nightwing is so good, set in Bloodhaven, and I love his interactions with Batgirl. And I used to love the original Nightwing run in Bloodhaven. I loved the fact that it was separate from Gotham. You didn't have to worry about everything that was going on in Gotham City. Whilst I read Batman, but you didn't have to worry about all the intricacies. Actually, I love that we get to see a huge amount of world building in Tom King's Bloodhaven, and I really like it. The only time I really maybe dislike it a little bit is when we get into any kind of crossover type episodes, or if Nightwing has to go off a little bit here and there. But generally, it's a really strong book. Sorry, I've put Tom King. It's not Tom King, is it? I've forgotten who writes it now. Apologies, but no, honestly, Nightwing is really good. So I really have to. Honestly, couldn't recommend.
You're gonna have to correct that right now.
I know. Yeah. So I know. Apologies. So I don't know how I ended up writing down the wrong person. So I'll be honest with you, Tom King is not somebody I particularly enjoy reading his stuff in long form writing. I have to say, well, I am shouting out Tom King. I did read the first couple of issues of his Penguin series that he launched this year, and I liked it. Right, okay, so it's Tom Taylor is the author of or the writer of Nightwing, and Bruno Redmondo is actually the illustrator who's illustrated most of the comics. Yeah, I couldn't recommend Nightwing enough. He started the run in 2021, and it's really strong. Like, honestly, I'd recommend it. Look, obviously, Nightwing is a character that's been around a long time, and I know actually, Jasmin, I always say this: you always worry about going in, not
where do you
knowing,
jump in?
not knowing anything. I seriously, if you did fancy it, they've got it as just volume 1, Nightwing volume 1, Leaping into the Light. I would, if you fancied it, read it. Tom Taylor is a really good writer. Whilst I didn't enjoy Tom Taylor's Superman run, Tom Taylor's Nightwing is really good. So,
good to know.
Yeah.
My favorite read of 2023 is a webcomic, Korean webcomic. It is called Our Sunny Days. It is released on a few different platforms. I read it on Blend and the English version. It is just like this feel good kind of comic as of right now. Like, it just finished up season 1 last week. It's like this guy was an orphan. He was orphaned in Korea. He eventually aged out of the foster system, joined the military. Then he got co-opted to the US military, and then he left Korea for a while. And when he came back, he had a baby. Like, he got a girl pregnant in America, came back with a baby, and now he's raising a baby by himself. And he moves back to the village where he thinks his mom is from, and just kind of has to settle into village life as a single father. But it's been so fun to read. The artwork, it's from I can't think of the creator's name, but it's from the same person who wrote the story Unromantic, which was also one of my favorite webtoon reads. That one is a few years old. I think Unromantic was 2021. But the art is nice and soft. The characters are lovable. There's lots of charm. And the non-speaking, like, little bumbling baby is very cute. So Our Sunny Days, I highly recommend if you are into webtoons. It was definitely, of all the things I read last year on webtoons, like, it was my favorite. So Our Sunny Days, that gets my vote for 2023.
Oh, amazing. TV show. I actually watched quite a few Apple TV shows last year. Again, I think my TV viewing habits have changed slightly. I've become far removed from the weekly 27 episodes a season.
I'm telling you, man.
And I do, okay, look, there's some shows that actually I will allow.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, like the FBI series, they look, some of them are not
great. Those are just super procedural.
Yeah, they are super procedural, but I'll watch them. I buy. Other than that, there's a lot of shows I've dropped out of. Grey's Anatomy, done. I'm done with that now.
Yeah, well, it's been 83 years, so.
I know. After 83 seasons or whatever, yeah. I just can't do it anymore. You know, when the quality is as appalling as Grey's Anatomy is, which is a shame because it was so strong.
Yeah,
it was so strong.
Yeah,
and that's why I think, in a way, my mindset has really changed around content, and this is why I want to highlight this show particularly, that I only watched it all last year, and I actually watched it all in December. So Silo was amazing, Bodies was amazing, so many. The Lazarus Project was amazing. Honestly, Lazarus Project was so good. Honestly, I really debated whether to put that down as my best show.
Oh man,
yeah, really was edging there. But anyway, the show I want to put down, and this is a show that's not like me to watch. Honestly, it's not like me to watch. I watched all 3 seasons of it, and this is why I quite like this now. Is a show that's got a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Oh, okay.
So Ted Lasso, it's an Apple TV show. Have you ever watched Ted Lasso?
No, I've heard only good things about it though.
So it's a real feel-good drama comedy, and sometimes it is real drama. Like, there's sometimes where you can really feel the emotion and the tears and all the rest of it. But I watched all 3 seasons over Christmas, and I was just like, I couldn't watch anything else. It was just so
you were
good.
Hooked.
Like, yeah. I mean, the idea of bringing an American, obviously football in America coach across to England to be the manager of an English football team who didn't know anything about football, to bring him over, and obviously the premise here is that the owner of the club has got divorced. She's bought the club, or she now owns the club in a divorce settlement from her ex-husband, and she brings Ted Lasso across because she wants him to fail, and she wants to destroy the club that she's taken over. So you've got her character journey with Rebecca throughout all 3 seasons, and obviously she doesn't want to destroy the club in the end.
Yeah.
And then Ted Lasso, who goes from day one not knowing anything. And one of my favorite moments in season 3 is I think it was in the final episode where the team they were playing get a goal in, and an ongoing joke had been throughout Ted Lasso that he didn't know what the offside rule was, and then the team they're playing, they score, and everyone's like, no. Ted Lasso starts laughing, and everyone's like, why are you laughing? He went, you watched, that was offside. And he actually knew by the final episode, he finally knew what the offside rule was. And honestly, there's so many good moments throughout Ted Lasso. I'm not joking, just the relationships with some of the side characters, and as well. I mean, there's his sort of main coach is a guy called Beard, and whilst there's not a vast amount of character development on Beard, he's just brilliant as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, like so much of it's so good, and I love the way it ends. And this isn't a spoiler for the show at all, but one of the characters presents to Rebecca a project to create an AFC Richmond women's team. And honestly, I'd love it if they were to create. You can imagine though, if they were to do a spin-off, it would be similar premise that they bring across some female from America to manage the women's team, or maybe it's from Australia or something. I don't know. Maybe they play around with the format, but. The creators of the show have said it's the end for now. So Ted Lasso has gone back to America, and the club is in a much different place. Rebecca is in a completely different place from where she started. And it was so good. I honestly couldn't recommend it enough. And you don't need to. I think some people probably get put off by the idea that it's football.
You don't need to know.
But honestly, honestly watch it. I'm not the biggest sports fan at all, but I loved it. And
now, did you watch it with your kids? Because both your kids play soccer.
So
football, sorry.
Language in it and other things is quite inappropriate sometimes.
Okay.
However, my youngest, I did allow her to watch bits of the final episode of me, because the final episode they play. So the team that Ted Lasso manages is a made-up team called AFC Richmond that doesn't exist. However, they did play a real team in the final episode called West Ham.
Oh, I know West Ham. Yeah.
And my youngest did want to watch it with me. So what I had to do was, once we got into the sort of football game, it was kind of the football game. But if there was anything that I saw was going to be inappropriate, I just skipped through.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, she loved it with me, and she was like really like, oh yeah, are they gonna win? Are they gonna win? Like she's getting all into it, because it's like a real game to her. Like
right.
And what was quite funny was I don't know when it was, a week or so later, we were on the train, and she just kept shouting out AFC Richmond. I was just like, they're not real. But do you know what's amazing is, if you go onto Twitter or X and type in AFC Richmond, there's even Chelsea Football Club have got into it, and I just didn't realize how much people were into Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso is huge.
So even like real football clubs have got behind Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Even Ted Lasso was in one of the last FIFA games. So.
Oh really? No, I did not.
So
that's fun.
Yeah, I didn't know. And all the characters that were in AFC Richmond, you can play as them. And
hilarious.
So, but no.
Do you know what movie taught me the offside rule?
I don't know.
Before I started watching, because I used to watch EPL. Chelsea was my favorite team back when Didier Drogba still played for Chelsea. But Bend It Like Beckham.
Oh,
in the sequence where what?
No, I've never seen it.
Wait, what? Okay, we're talking about that after we stop recording. But there's a scene where Keira Knightley's parents are talking about football. And her mom is just like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why my daughter, because she wants a girly girl daughter. And she's like, I don't understand why my daughter even plays this ridiculous sport. And the dad is just so excited that his daughter plays soccer. And so finally, eventually the mom comes around and she's like, okay, fine. I guess I can't get her to get off of soccer. Teach me the rules of the game. And so he teaches her positions on the field, but he's using salt shakers and tableware pieces on their dining room table, and he teaches her the offside rule with salt and pepper shakers. And so that's when I learned what offsides was.
One of the reasons I didn't watch it previously is I've never really been interested in sport at all, especially football. And then I've now got two girls who absolutely love football.
Yeah,
they're like football mad.
Now you've got
Chelsea.
2 sports nuts. Like you're going to be in sports for the rest of your life, man.
Do you know, on Thursday evening, I literally had to drive Lara to a thing at 5 o'clock where now she's coaching young kids, like doing it. And then I had to drive her, and then after that finished, went home briefly, both had dinner, and then I had to drive her to her training for which was 7 to 8. And I was just like, do you know what? And then she started going about, can I pick her up on a Monday and a Tuesday for football? School went, no, because you play on a Monday night as well. Like when am I going to have a life? So and
you don't.
I said to her, if she wants to do the Monday and Tuesday at school, she's going to have to get the bus home. She gets a school bus, but I said, you'll have to just get the public bus. I can't just forever be picking you up and running you around, because that'd be Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And also the Thursday thing, I have to take her to 2 things in the night.
My parents loved it when I finally stopped playing sports, because then they didn't have to drive my ass everywhere.
Well, and then obviously we've got season tickets for Chelsea women as well. So like this, not this Sunday, next Sunday we're going to see Chelsea women play Manchester. So and
City or United?
United. And then next month she wants me to do something else with Chelsea as well. And I was just like,
Who doesn't like sports is now doing 5 days a week of sports.
I know. It's like the guy who had no interest in. I mean, I like doing my own, going running or cycling or going to the gym. But now I've become. Sometimes, sometimes the girls will take over the TV and want to watch Chelsea play on the TV, and me and my wife just like, right, okay, well, where should we go then? They're both screaming and shouting at the TV, and they're 9 and 13. So
that is so funny. Oh man, that is so funny to me.
And the weird thing is that there was no influence from me at all. So anyway, what was your favorite TV show?
So my favorite TV show is surprising to me anyway. It is an anime that came out last year. I had another one on my list, but it came out actually in 2018, and I just only watched it for the first time last year. So this one bumped that one out of the way. But it's called My Boss is Goofy. And
I remember you mentioning this.
Yes. Oh my God. It my 2023, in my personal / professional life outside of podcasting, got ridiculously busy. And because I got so busy, it was just, I did not have the free time anymore to just kind of sit and do Netflix and chill. It was just non-existent. And so there would be some days where I'd still be so wound up when I finally finished working. And when I found this anime, it was just so silly. It's so silly and it's so sweet. And it's really about this guy who had an awful boss, that his boss was so bad, he developed an ulcer, and he still has PTSD from working at his previous company. His boss would throw hot coffee on him, kick him in the hallways, just abuse him in all kinds of ways. So he quit, got a new job, and he loves his new manager. His new manager is just the sweetest, nicest, actual mentor that he could have asked for. But the series, it's just so calming. At the end of a stressful day, I can spend 25 minutes sitting on my couch, and by the time one episode is over, I feel better. Not just the guy in the TV show, but I feel better too. Of wow, your boss is amazing. So it was just kind of my wind down show toward the end of 2023. And I just have absolutely fallen in love with My New Boss is Goofy. It's so endearing and it's so heartwarming, and it's just impossible not to smile while you're watching it.
I think that sounds pretty cool, and it sounds like some people that I may have worked for in the past.
Probably, right?
Right, okay, gaming wise, it's just me here. So I'm going to be honest with you, what the game I played Mario Odyssey, loved it. I know it didn't come out in 2023, so it's not a favorite. The Last of Us Part 2, I'm around halfway through, which I played throughout December, and I'll be honest, absolutely loved it. I could see why that was a massive success when it came out. As we're talking about 2024, now this wasn't a Christmas present. I had vouchers which I saved up, and I bought Mario Wonder, and I got it just after Christmas. And it's a simple game. Honestly, it's very much an update on the kind of Game Boy or 3DS XL kind of Mario games. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's a 2D or a 3D. It's like, what do they call it? 2.5D or something like that. And I don't know, maybe I might be making that up, but it's a platform scroller. You know, Mario is moving from left to right and jumps up and down, but you can play as any of them: Mario, Luigi, and also the other thing you can do is have 4 people playing the characters, and you can work almost as a team moving through the thing.
That's cool.
And actually, the level I was just playing before I came on here, you actually do need 2 players to do the level, which I was like, oh, I can't do that now. It's late.
Yeah.
But no, this is a really nice game. It's not complicated in any way. But I'm gonna, having only played 2 games that came out last year, which was Hogwarts and this one, and I've not completed either, but Mario Wonder definitely stands out. I really loved it.
Yeah.
And in honesty, I'm glad that last year I got a lot more into gaming than I have for a long time.
Yeah.
And
it's like almost like every couple of weeks you would come on and you'd be like, look what I got.
Oh yeah, like I was going through like Marketplace and finding Game Boys and stuff like that. I was like, I would even drive like 20 minutes to go and pick up a £10 Game Boy, because like people sell them for like 50 quid still or whatever. But do you know what? One of the reasons I started playing The Last of Us again towards the end of the year, because work, again, like you, work became insane. And I was chatting to a customer of mine, and we've never actually met. We speak on the phone or email, and we've done Zooms. We're actually going to meet next week for the first time in real life. And it's quite nice when you chat to customers and they say things that are like a bit more personal. And he was chatting about gaming, and we were both talking about getting stressed through work. And I kind of said to him, oh, what do you do to chill out? And it shocked me. He said, well, I actually quite like to game. And I was like, really? I was really taken back by a customer telling me that. And he played a game I've never played before called Ark. And
I've heard of Ark.
And he said, I'll get lost in it for hours. And he said, it's a really good way of switching off.
Yeah, because it's one of those like builder games. Like,
is it like a Sim City, but more of a sci-fi?
Well, like you're building settlements, but you also have to fight dinosaurs and like collect resources and do all of the. But he's right though. It's super easy to get lost in that kind of game, just because it's like, I need to go mining for this metal, or I need to go find this wood.
So I said to him, that's a really good idea, because I was saying to him about it's difficult to unwind after work and family and all the rest of it. And then I found with The Last of Us, sometimes I put it on at 9 o'clock at night and suddenly it was midnight, and I was like, actually this is actually a really good stress reliever. I would have to turn it off at least an hour before I went to bed, so I'd have to make sure I stopped in the end playing it to midnight and just put it on to like 11 or then an hour to relax. But no, it was honestly a really good, I would say if you're someone that's stressed out, there's many techniques. But gaming, honestly, it adds. I suppose it stresses you out in a different way if you're worried about getting killed from a zombie of some sort. But like, it does take your mind off of if you've had a tough day,
right?
And I'd say, in general, gaming is such a good stress reliever.
Yeah.
But no, even Mario Wonder though, you can still sometimes be like effing and blinding because you're just like dying for the 5th time.
Yeah.
From a stupid ball that rolls down the floor or whatever. But yeah, no, just Mario Wonder for me stood out as a really good game. I really enjoyed it. So
nice.
But anyway, movies wise,
we both picked the same one.
We picked the same one. So honestly, that I watched. You know what? In 2023, I got myself one of those passes for the cinema premiere membership. I could go unlimited. Sometimes I would go twice a week, and I actually did watch some re-releases. I watched a lot of movies, and I actually kept a list because I knew there's no way that I could remember. And I checked my list before we recorded. I watched 50 movies that came out last year.
Wow.
Now, I think of that list, only 25 I probably saw in the cinema. But that's way more than I normally would watch because, the cinema's getting expensive now. It's like £10 a ticket. And when you're spending £15 a month to go unlimited, I do make sure I go regularly. And that's why I feel really pleased with this particular one, that I can say this is the best movie of last year. And there was a lot of good movies that came out last year. Oppenheimer was phenomenal, and honestly, there's so many good movies that came out. And it was a real year last year for product placement movies. We had
Barbie.
Air, we had we had Barbie, we had Air, we had BlackBerry, we had Tetris. honestly, Tetris, you know, if I was doing the top 10, Tetris would be so close to number one. Really loved it. But I don't know if you kept a particular list. I know you didn't watch as many as me, but yeah. you did watch a few.
I probably saw at least 10 movies. That's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
For the whole year.
So we both came to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Mm-hmm. And I actually called that pretty early in the year as that being my top movie. And yeah, and like you, I was like the last 15 minutes. I remember, so I went with my two daughters to see it because they were so excited. And I turned to my youngest, I said, I just want you to know, because I can see where this is going. This is going to end to be continued. And I was like, the build up, I've never felt like the excitement and anxiety from an animated movie before.
Yeah.
It's just honestly such a good movie. I couldn't recommend this enough. Like if you like, I recommend this to my mum and she won't watch it because it's animated. She's like, no, I'm not watching this cartoon. Like, and I'm like, no, like I know you're older, but please, it's just so good. This is honestly Avengers Endgame level movie. This is it's phenomenal.
Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't listened to our episode already, it was episode 130 where we covered the Across the Spider-Verse. But I mean, I remember walking out of that movie and thinking like, I honestly didn't think that they would be able to top the first one. You know, like the first one was so good and it was so innovative and the animation was so different and so unique and just so freaking cool. But they did it even better in this one because like each of the spider people has their own animation style. So like when we are in Gwen's world, Gwen has an animation style. When we are in Hobie's world, Hobie has his own animation style. Like it was the coolest freaking thing to see.
I mean, Lego Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
God. That was animated by a teenager.
I know, because he did it on YouTube, and then they were like, no, you got to come do it for us.
Yeah. So yeah, Across the Spider-Verse was just honestly just as innovative as the first film, but also like still had its very own unique voice. And it's just like I am so excited. Like the anticipation is just, it continues to be like super up there, like super high for the third film. Whereas, you know, sometimes like a lot of the franchises fall into that sequel trap where like the second one is just kind of like, ooh, that was that one really took a dive, but like this one didn't. And because the second one was just as good, like I have such high hopes for the third film.
I hope they don't let us down. I don't think they will.
I don't think they will.
No. So the next two things I just wrote down, and Jasmin hasn't got anything to add here, but I last year I drive a lot for work, and I'm not a driver. I just like drive to customer meetings and stuff like that. And also because of where I live now, I've moved a bit further away from London, and even driving down to my family and stuff like that, it can take a bit of a drive. And that's hence why I got into those crime podcasts. Like just, you know, I had something to listen to in the car. Mm-hmm. And I still found like that I would be listening to music from 1994. Well, nothing wrong with that because clearly that's my decade. But I was like, do you know what? I wouldn't mind listening to some new stuff. And so I've no idea what, and I'm going to sound like an old man now. I've no idea what's popular now. I've got no idea. So I actually Googled like stuff to listen to in 2024 or 23. And I found a group called Boy Genius, and they released a record. They released an album called The Record, which is a really kind of really, I don't know, inventive, and every single track is really, really different. And I couldn't really recommend them enough. And when you look on a lot of people's lists, they're actually here we go. I couldn't find. They're actually on that album has made a lot of people's top tens. Now that it's one of those what they describe them as like a super group, you know, where it was a load of individual artists or you know, so the group is made up of Julian Baker, Phoebe Bridgers, and Lucy Dacus. And so they're individual careers, and they got together. And initially it was meant to be like a project where I think they did a couple of tracks together, and suddenly it turned into like a full album. So they did an EP in 2018, and then it's turned into a full album. And I did listen to other things outside of this. I probably listened to maybe 4 or 5 albums that came out last year, but I kept coming back to the record. I thought it was really good, so I'd recommend it. So
nice.
And then I wanted to put down something live. I only put it down live because I did actually go to a few live things last year. So I went and saw some bands, and however, this particular thing I went and saw, I haven't had a chance to speak to you about it because I did it over Christmas. I booked the tickets for this in April last year, and this is something, I'm not joking, I've been wanting to do this for years. So at the Barbican in London, they do a lot of limited release and special stuff, and not stuff that's on on the main sort of West End or whatever. So they every year around Christmas time, they do a limited release of something adapted from Studio Ghibli. And I've seen it. I've seen them a few times having them, and every time I go and look it up, the tickets are sold out. So I put myself down on the mailing list, and I actually managed to get tickets when they came out for My Neighbor Totoro, which was out. It came out around November time, and it's on until March at the Barbican. And I booked 6 tickets for me, my wife, my kids, and I brought my mum and dad. Now, my mum and dad, no idea. When I gave them tickets for Christmas, they were like, no idea what this is, but I'm sure we'll have a good time. And my mum and dad loved it, and it was just so good. Honestly, so like the puppeteering. Have you seen My Neighbor Totoro, the film?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't seen the film? Oh, no. Honestly, please watch the film. As an anime lover that you are, so
I know I'm behind on the classics.
So just to see, I'm not joking, just to see Totoro on stage, it was phenomenal. It was just so good. Cool. And the acting was so good. So it was done by the Royal Shakespeare Company, and honestly, just so good. Like, if anyone's listening now and they live in London, sorry.
That's you.
Oh God, I couldn't even hit mute then. Sorry. Honestly, so good. It's just, honestly, I don't know if there's even tickets going, but it finishes around the 24th of March or something. So you've got roughly 2 months. So Jasmin, if you want to jump on a plane, it's a very expensive ticket for you, but honestly, do you know what? You would honestly love My Neighbor Totoro.
Sure, I would. I saw The Lion King a long time ago when it came to Houston, their version of the Broadway show, and it was phenomenal. So I bet it would be good.
So that's kind of our best of the year, our number ones, so to speak. But that brings 2023 to a close. And we're going to just shout out some things we're looking forward to. We're not going to go into a massive amount of detail here. I do want probably to laugh at Jasmin's choice of movie anticipation, but equally she can laugh at my second one as well. Yes, I am
definitely laughing at one of yours.
So for anticipated, it's just going to break it down into usual categories. But for movies, I've put down 2 choices, not as many as last year. I'll be honest, I looked at the 2024 list, and there's not that much really jumping out at me. Look, there's films that are probably going to be good. Gladiator 2 probably will be good, but I'm sure it'll be good. But I'm not excited about it. I'm not. It's like you know what we said about Joker, really good movie, but. Didn't particularly care about it. Anyways, I've put down 2 choices. Deadpool 3, it's going to be amazing. I don't care. It probably will be a cameo fest, but it'll be good. And the other film, which I know people will give me crap for, and I do admit it probably will be awful, but I'm still looking forward to it. I want to see Madam Web. I actually really want to see it.
I just don't know, man. That trailer did not inspire any level of confidence in me about that film.
I'm looking forward to it because it's going to have a lot of female spider-related characters. Whilst I think Sony will do their usual and bomb that movie hard, I'm still excited for it. So, yeah. What are you looking forward to?
Surprisingly. I was shocked at my own decision. There's stuff like Mortal Kombat 2 and Beetlejuice 2. I'm interested in those, but not. I don't know. I just have to give credit to the people who cut the trailer. But when I saw that first trailer for Kraven, I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty good. Also, Russell Crowe was in it, and Russell Crowe is one of my absolute favorites. So it's like, I don't know. Am I excited about Craven? I don't think excited is the word that I would use, but like,
to be honest, the trailer, it shocked me that it was
yeah,
like as dark as it was, and
right. And I think that's also another reason that I was kind of into it. I was like, this could be interesting. And also like when I saw Aaron Taylor Johnson in Bullet Train, the Netflix movie, he was so good in that movie. Like,
oh, I haven't seen that.
So much. Oh my God, it's so good. And he was so much better than he was like in Godzilla or in X-Men. Like, and so seeing his range be better in that film gave me a little bit more confidence in Craven actually being a decent feature. So
I actually do want to see that movie too. We'll have to. I know. We'll have to make sure we go to the theater for Deadpool and Craven.
Yeah, and of course, there's also Sonic 3.
Yeah, that's like December or something. But yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe we'll have to go. I probably will go and see Sonic because
the first two have been so fun. Like I have really enjoyed the Sonic like live action series. So I would definitely watch Sonic 3.
Okay, so I know I'll be getting you to the cinema for Deadpool 3, Craven, and Sonic.
So I'll probably see at least 5 movies in the theater this year.
Right. So TV stuff that we're looking forward to. I'll be honest, this is the one I am most hyped for.
Okay. Tell me why.
The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. Finally.
Who's that?
Finally.
That's the helicopter people?
So that's going to be Rick and Michonne.
Oh, it's their movie finally.
Yeah. Well, it's a TV series now. The movie's now not happening. The movie's not happening. I don't know what happened. I think it was like in one of those development hell things for ages. Yeah. So it's now going to be a mini series. I don't know how many episodes, probably 6 or something.
Okay.
And finally, they've released a little teaser for it with Rick and Michonne. So we will finally find the helicopter people, who are called CRM, by the way. But
okay.
They do. They have said what the name is. Something Republic. I don't know what it is. Hopefully the mystery of the CRM will be resolved. Okay. I really don't want this to be a ongoing season 1, season 2. I would like if it's an event rather than.
No, it won't be.
I
find it weird. Walking Dead has been going on since the beginning of time. Walking Dead is going to turn into Grey's Anatomy. Like Walking Dead is going to be season 29.
Well, to be honest with you, so we had Dead City come out last year, and we had Daryl Dixon, and they were both short seasons, 6 episodes, real pruned down cast. Both of them were really strong, like they were really good. And I have to say, Daryl Dixon, that probably would be in my top 10 of last year.
Really?
Yeah, it was really good. Well, I love the fact that it was Daryl Dixon. It was in France. We got to see, Paris, and
how did he get there?
They did do a flashback episode in Daryl Dixon in which it wasn't a whole flashback episode, but they showed flashes of it. Basically, he was in some sort of factory or something or other, and in America, and he's fighting somebody, and his only way out was I can't remember exactly, but he was jumping off something, and as he jumps off, I think he gets knocked out or something and ends up landing in a boat, which the boat obviously falls off the out of the factory and probably leads it's hugely unlikely that he's suddenly asleep throughout the whole of the Atlantic and rocks up in Paris.
Yeah,
but that's basically what happened.
Okay.
So I mean, I know it's unlikely that the chances of that boat drifting nicely across the sea,
right,
with not a single storm or anything.
Yeah.
You never know. There must be occasions when the Atlantic is nice and calm.
Also, it's cold. Like it's very cold up north in the Atlantic.
So I mean, maybe it was August. So I don't know. So that's basically what happens, and he kind of rocks up. That's from memory. That series obviously came out like 6 months ago. Daryl Dixon, though, was really good. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't wandering through forests as most of 10 seasons of The Walking Dead was just walking through the woods. However, this was good. I liked the fact that it was city settings, and there's a main female character in Daryl Dixon, who did have a flashback episode or part of a flashback episode where we got to see her in Paris as all the chaos was kicking off, and I thought that was cool as well. So I liked it. And sometimes you see them speaking in French, and a lot of the time they just speak in English with a French accent because obviously they know the audience is English or English speaking. But it was good, and they kept finding different ways to make excuses of speaking English because Daryl obviously doesn't speak French. So
yeah,
but that would have been really cool if it actually turned out that Daryl did speak French and they would have a whole episodes in French. That would be cool. So and the teaser for that for season 2 is that Carol will actually be joining. So I doubt they're going to be retitling it Carol and Daryl as we wanted it to be called, but no, it was good. It was really good. But no, I'm really looking forward to finally seeing what happened to Rick when he got flown off in that helicopter like 10 years ago when he left.
Yeah, at this point, 10 years ago. So,
the other 2 things I was looking forward to, I won't speak about those in detail now, but the Penguin, which is the Batman spin-off TV series, and You season 5, which is the final season. I've been addicted to You since it came out. I think it's great. So, you know.
So you're going to just keep it going.
Well, no, this is the final season of You. So that's it now. He's finally home in New York. So season 1 was in New York, and then he's sort of traveled the world, and now he's back in New York.
Okay.
So
I only watched I think I only watched half of the first season. So
I love it. So anyway, what about you?
I've only got one thing on my list because honestly, I feel like 2024 is going to be the kind of year that if we are not covering it on the podcast, I am not watching it. Like, I just don't see myself having that kind of leisure time this year, unfortunately. So this thing that's on my list has been on my radar for a while because it was already a live action series, and it became an anime. It just came out like a couple of days ago. It is called Cherry Magic. 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard. It's on Crunchyroll, and it's a BL kind of anime, and it's literally about this guy who he's a salaryman, but he's also a virgin, and he's also gay, and he's just like never had an opportunity to like date anybody or anything like that. And so now he has this new job where he has a crush on one of his colleagues. So actually was planning on watching the first episode when we stop recording today. So I'm gonna let you know how that one goes. But yeah, that's on my list. Cherry Magic. It's like it's a manga that's been around for a while. I think it's on like volume 28 or something.
Oh, bloody hell. It's like if Panic at the Disco wrote
the freaking title. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cherry Magic, 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard. Do you just call it Cherry Magic?
Yes, you just call it Cherry Magic. But apparently that's some kind of superstition in Japan. Like that's the whole premise is that that is what this is based on.
Well, I don't believe in superstitions, so I'm okay. So, right, okay, reads wise, I'll be honest with you, over the Christmas period, I've kind of talked about this a little bit earlier in the episode, was that pull list and that to be read pile just gets bigger and bigger, and I actually never get around to reading anything. I did actually, sorry, I forgot to say, I did read a couple of books last year. I read Why I'm Not Talking to White People About Racism Anymore, and I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F as well. So I did read some books that are
nonfiction.
However, last year I did pick up a bunch of other books, and I just didn't get reading them. Like, I'm looking at them on my shelf, and they're never even going to get picked up. And even my wife said to me, "You just never read anything." And I was like, "I never get flipping time."
Yeah.
So, and I had this whole moment over Christmas. So I was like, "Do you know what? There's way too much content, and comics is just another form." And I don't know how many comics they publish a month. Something like over 100 comics must be released a month from Marvel, DC, Image, and all the various independents. And we've had this conversation separately about we don't know how half our friends in the comic book world read these things as well as everything else. But I'm not sure they do everything else. I think they just do comics. And I don't want to be just comics. I'm sorry. Like, there's a lot of stuff I enjoy, and I can't just be comics. So I know that if I dedicate a whole evening to reading comics, that's the whole evening that I could have been doing something else.
Right.
And I do enjoy comics, don't get me wrong, but I can't. But yeah, so I looked at what's coming out this year. And also the other thing, is terrible as it sounds, not a lot of it particularly excited me. Like Marvel and DC do kind of rinse and repeat stuff a lot. And the two things I'm going to say here that I'm looking forward to, one of them probably is a bit of a rinse and repeat, but Joker Year One, which is going to be in the main Batman ongoing series, and apparently they are finally going to do the Joker's origin story. Now, from a comic book wise, I don't mind that so much. The movie I wasn't particularly bothered about, but because they've teased so much of him over the years in the comics, I am interested, especially as I've read things like the Three Jokers, and I just want to, and the Killing Joke. I would like to see if they actually do commit, because those things are all outside of continuity, although they do occasionally allude to them, but they never say outright. It would be weird to think if they actually do in continuity give the Joker an origin, which that would be something that they've not done before
ever.
that I'm aware of. If I'm wrong, please let me know. The other thing I'm looking forward to, and it did come out this week, I just haven't picked it up yet, is the new Ultimate Spider-Man that's come out as of this month. And it's by Jonathan Hickman, and a lot of people are excited about it because it's actually going to be the one thing we've never got before. It's Spider-Man as a family, married to Mary Jane with 2 children, and that's just something that we don't see. So I'm excited for this change of. So,
well, I don't have like fun. I mean, I think I'm going to enjoy reading them, but like I don't have comics or manga that I'm extremely looking forward to this year. But there are 2 nonfiction books that I am very interested in getting my hands on. One of them, it's called Take Back Your Brain. It's from a woman that I follow. I've been following her for a couple of years now. She has a podcast called Unfuck Your Brain. And so she's writing a book. And then another person that I discovered on Instagram, she goes by Your Rich BFF, and she like always starts all of her videos off with, "Hey, it's Vivian, your favorite Wall Street girly." She's got a book coming out called Rich as Fuck. So that's also something that is on my watch list for this year. So obviously 2024 is the year I'm trying to get my money right, y'all.
All right, so gaming wise, we've both put down 2 things that we're looking forward to, and I've no idea when this one comes out for me.
Yeah, me neither.
But I am aware it comes out this year. So Tomb Raider Remastered, which is the original PlayStation Tomb Raider games, the first 3, they're doing a remastered version. I think it's coming out on all platforms, but the one I have a PS4 and hopefully at some point a PS5. However, I want to buy it for the Switch because I think it would be really cool to. They're simple games, aren't they? Really, now they're simple games, but then they weren't. I think it'd be really cool to have it on the Switch and just carry it around with me. So
I think that one could be like a really fun kind of mindless thing. Like, I got 10 minutes. Let me see if I can get through this ruin. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't carry the Switch around with me every day or anything, but on the odd occasion I have to get the train somewhere or something, I do grab the Switch. Like I went a week ago, I had to get the train somewhere and I brought the Switch with me, and it was pretty cool. So to be able to play on the train. So
being portable, that's where it's at these days. And the one I'm looking forward to is the one behind me here. It is Exodus. It has no release date. I don't know if it's coming out in 2024. It probably isn't, given the fact that it is such a huge AAA game. But it was the thing that I was most excited about at the Game Awards as well. It is from some of the same developers of Mass Effect, which of course everyone should know by now is my favorite video game of all time. So I am super excited to get my hands on this one. Now, this one, if it does come out in 2024, I would have to make room in my schedule to pick it up and play it because it just looks so exciting. It's space travel, traveling to all these worlds, collecting resources, and bringing them back to your people so that, you keep Earth alive, essentially. But it's like 100% my jam. It takes place in space. You have big guns. There's aliens. You're planet hunting. There's romance arcs. It's a story. There's lots of cinematics. Like, it's third-person shooter, very important. So I'm very excited about Exodus.
I think that sounds really cool. The picture behind you looks amazing.
Yeah.
So, I think going through this with you, we've really pruned down on what our anticipators are. We've kind of changed, I think, a lot of how we work because we realise we're both busy. But equally, I think we've moved away from the mass consumption and.
I'm trying not to let other people's hype get to me. That's kind of what has changed for me this year. It's like, oh, everybody's excited about this one thing. It's like, oh, well, maybe I should be excited too.
Well, I remember the one thing I was really excited for last year was the Flash movie. I probably would say that was the most, because I don't know. I thought it was going to be what better. I thought it was going to be better, but I thought it was going to be what Deadpool 3 is going to be.
Oh, an actual like expansion into this new world.
Yeah, and I thought because of all this whole Jimmy Gunn rebuild in the DCU, I thought the Flash might actually end with, you know, the promise of what's to come, but actually just ended with a stupid George Clooney cameo. It's just like, and honestly, whilst okay, now I'm not as angry about it as I was when I first watched it, but I thought the Flash might deliver, and it didn't. Michael Keaton was obviously really good, and Supergirl was really good. I can't remember her name, but the girl who played Supergirl was really good. But unfortunately, the guy who plays the Flash is just flipping awful. Like, just, and I'm not talking about his whole controversial lifestyle. He's just a terrible actor. And also his version of the Flash is a joke. So it was a terrible movie all over, and it was annoying. And I think that was also the hype around that. I was probably built off of. I think other people were really looking forward to that too. I don't think people like him because of his lifestyle, and I mean that's up to them. But I don't particularly like his version of the Flash.
I hate the way he runs.
I just
hate it.
I don't know. It's like he's more like Flash Junior than the Flash. Like he's like Kid Flash. Like I think after 8 years of Grant Gustin, who's really grown.
Grant Gustin was almost like a perfect casting, just like Tom Holland was perfect for Spider-Man.
Yeah. So, but anyway, like you, I'm not letting other people's hype get to me, and also, I don't know. We'll talk about it another time, but I'm not going to let the overwhelming content get to me anymore. So,
I'll consume what I can when I can, but for the most part, I am occupied with other things this year.
So we'll bring our first conversational episode to a close, and I mean, I didn't even keep an eye on the time. It was a long one. I appreciate that. But we wanted to cover a lot. We wanted to wrap up last year. We want to talk about this year. And we're going to do more of these conversations again, and we're going to invite guests on. We've got a few ideas for conversations we want to have. If you've got any ideas of things that you want to hear us talk about, feel free to comment or let us know. So for next week's episode, we will return to our regularly scheduled review episode, which will be 147. And actually, I'm just going to shout out the next 3 episodes just so you guys if you do want to watch along. So episode 147 will be the Batman, which is Matt Reeves' Batman with Robert Pattinson as the Batman. And then episode 148 will be the original Street Fighter movie. And then 149 will be the first live action Mortal Kombat movie. So
very excited about that one.
And then 150 will be out after that, and you'll just have to stay tuned to hear what we're going to do there. So as I said already, you can follow us on social media. Geeks and Niche is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts: Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify. We are everywhere. So please leave us a 5-star review and tell your geeky friends.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone. I hope you had a good new year, and we'll see you next week.
Good journey.
Good journey.